Today's one-day build is the helmet of that suit which began this shot. That orange pumpkin suit that the NASA astronauts wore on shuttle missions for decades is called the pumpkin suit, or more appropriately known as the ACES suit. That stands for Advanced Crew Escape Suit. And I am tackling its helmet today. This is a hard part to get right, but it's really important to me to get it right. So I bought a 3D model online and sent that model to the Broken Nerd, to Daryl Maloney, who then took it and prepped it and modified it and made it acceptable for 3D printing. Then I got the 3D print, all the different 3D printed parts from Daryl, and once I had those in hand, it was time to prime them. My method of filling in the gaps on a 3D print is usually to dump a whole can of filler primer on the thing at the end of the day. Then by the next morning, it's very sandable. Once properly primed, it was time to send it up to Sean Thorson, who gave it a beautiful, beautiful coat, a candy coat, if you will, of magnificent white. Look at this thing! Oh, this literally just...
Now, you're watching Gears. Brought to you by LMC Truck. Restore, maintain, customize.
There's the spot. Right there. You know, one thing that we get a lot of requests for is people want to see us take an old derelict piece of junk out of a salvage yard and turn it into something really cool, just to show it can be done. That is a great idea. And as you can see, the salvage yard has got all kinds of possibilities. You got an old 50 Chevy truck here, and a car there, and a later model pickup here, and Camaros and Mustangs. So we decided if we're gonna do something like this, that we needed to use a vehicle that nobody would suspect. I mean, something that everybody would look at and go, oh, that's a piece of junk. You can't do anything with that. I mean, something like this whole truck here. Yeah, there you go. Of course, if you're going to pull a project out of a salvage yard, it's a good idea to get as many other parts out of that salvage yard as you can to help you build the project. Oh, look at this! Skinnerd! Because you can beat the price, and it's a lot of fun. Steady as she goes. Keep going, we got it. Keep going. There you go. Yee. And you thought I was kidding about this vehicle. No way. I guess the big thing is, what exactly do we have here? Well, maybe nothing. But then again, it could be the start of something really cool. Remember, some of the coolest projects start from the lowliest beginnings. And saving a vehicle from the crusher is always a good thing. Now, what you're looking at is a 1969 International Loadstar 1600 cab-over truck. And you talk about unique, this is it. But take a look at this, man. This old cab is in great shape. The doors open and close well, got good gaps, and doesn't look like there's a whole lot of rust on this thing. That is a good thing. However, inside may not be so good. Let's take a look. All right, let's see what we got here. Got the original seats in there, that's good. Got a pattern to make something if we want to. Let's see, got things down here on the floor. That looks like old upholstery, or probably part of the headliner. Got some other stuff here, don't know what it is. What the heck? Look at this. That's some pretty nasty stuff there, man. Look at that patina, man. It's a rat rotter's dream here. Liking that. Man, look at that. Still coming out nasty. There you go. But that's not all. More bottles. You're gonna be amazed. I'm telling you, you're gonna be amazed. The dash holds a unique steering wheel, some cool gauges, and a brass plaque that says U.S. Department of the Navy. Boy, if this thing could talk. Now, obviously, when you got a vehicle that's been sitting in long-term storage or been out in a field or in a salvage yard for a long period of time, the big question is, what about the engine? Can you make it run? And unless there's some rod sticking out the side or some sort of mechanical damage, 9 times out of 10, you can bring them back to life. Even something as gone as this. But there are some steps to doing this to where you don't make things worse than they already are. And that's what we're gonna show you. As you can see, this engine has been sitting for a long time. Now, obviously, the first thing that you want to do is to try to get it to roll over, because if you can't, it's probably not worth messing with. Now, the best way to do this is to pull all the spark plugs out, shoot some penetrating lube down in the cylinders, get everything all nicely lubed up, and then try to turn the engine over either by using the starter or a breaker bar down on the bolt on the crank. If you can get it to roll over, you're in business. There you go. Come on, turn, baby, turn. All right. Well, it's not locked up. It's actually turning over really well, which means we're going to get this sucker running.
When Stacy David makes house calls in the big Gears Nation truck, it makes for some pretty special moments. But if they can't come to your garage, the next best thing to do is check out the stuff they have online to help you out. Things like DVDs, wiring and build books, apparel and fender covers are just some of the things you'll find to help you with your project or make a great gift for that certain car nut in your life. If you're ready to get out there, build something, and then go smoke the tires on it, StacyDavid.com can help you do that.
Hey, welcome back to Gears, where today's project is all about taking an old, derelict piece of junk and getting it running again. And the vehicle we're doing that on is not this, no, that, an old '69 International truck that we found in a junkyard. Because first of all, this is just cool. And trucks and motorcycles and snowmobiles and tractors that are out there should be a piece of cake. Now, the reason that this is important is that 9 times out of 10, when you find a project, it's probably been sitting for a long period of time and you have no idea what the history is. So the burden falls on you to coax it back to life. Now, we've already established that the engine's not locked up, so all we have to do is make it run. So the first thing we're gonna do is drain out all that old oil and see what we got. Then we'll follow that by draining the cooling system and getting all the hoses and linkage and all this other stuff out of the way. Okay, now that we've got some room in here to work, We're gonna pull the valve covers off this thing, see what the valves look like, and check out the sludge buildup on the heads. Now what this will do is give us a good indication of how many miles are on the engine, and also how well it's been maintained. Probably not very well. Wow. Wow. There's hardly any sludge at all. Look at that. That is clean as a whistle. Very surprising on a vehicle like this. For the same reason, we're going to pull off the intake to make sure that no mice or dirt daubers or other nasty crawly things have found their way down into the engine. Do you hear the hissing sound? The only surprise was a bent push rod, but that was an easy fix using some gentle persuasion. All right, one of the first things that you're going to need to buy when you're digging into something like this are some new gaskets, because you know you're going to have to replace some old cruddy gaskets on an engine that's been sitting as long as something like this has. Now, the good news is you can still buy pretty much any gaskets that you're going to need down at your local auto parts store. The bad news is you probably can't get them separately if you're working on something as odd as a 69 International 345. Now, you're probably going to have to buy a complete gasket set like this, even if you're just needing some valve cover gaskets. Now, while you've got everything apart, this is the perfect time to clean the parts up before you put them back on. Because if you spend a little bit of time on the cleanup, shoot on some Duplicolor engine paint, you will be surprised how good those old parts will look. Well, there's no doubt that it looks better, but it doesn't run still. So we're going to turn our attention to the electrical system and see what kind of problems we can solve there, because you know we got problems there. The first thing we did is head down, pick up a new coil, a new condenser, and a new set of points that's going to run fire down through some new plug wires. Then at the end of those plug wires,